Hey guys, it's Dominic Abassi again for the British Columbia Football Conference, and let's be honest with ourselves here. I'm a pretty smart guy. Been around junior football for about 15 years, and over those 15 years I've seen probably more games than most, certainly the average person. And typically I can fire up this camera and put my phone on the selfie mode here and pontificate in a fairly educated manner about what I think's going to happen, what kind of results you're going to see. Apparently you can throw that all out the window this season, as I've been looking foolish every week and trying to imagine and predict what's going to happen, and I know I'm not the only one right now. The BCFC standings are a disaster, but a beautiful disaster if you want to look at it that way, because really, I have never seen the standings look quite like this heading into week number 7 with 5 teams in the mix. Only 2 points are separating first place from 5th place. It's anybody's ball game heading into the final 4 games of this regular season. Now, BCFC marketing guru Blake Roberts asked me, hey, why don't you play out some of the playoff scenarios that could exist after this weekend? Take a look at those. No, not a chance, Blake. I have 2 kids, I have a job, and I'm lacking in the necessary calculus degree to try and put together all of the possible statistical equations to lay things out. But what I can do is sort of look at the remaining schedules of the teams in the mix and see what that has to do. What really stands out to me is the unpredictability of every single weekend so far this season. Let's look at Langley for an example to sort of lay this out for you in the confusion and the insanity that we've seen really this year. And I'm going to actually need to look at my script to try and keep track of all this. I usually don't need to. Langley has beaten the first place Valley Huskers twice. They have also lost to and beaten the Okanagan Sun. They've lost to the Raiders in a game that they should have won. But the Huskers, who can't seem to beat the Rams, have beaten the Sun and the Raiders. Then you have the Rebels, who beat the Rams, have tied the Sun, and then got blown out twice by the Raiders. The Sun tied the Rebels, looked pretty evenly matched with the Rams in a win and a loss. Then they turn around and beat the Raiders and put up 35 points on outstanding defense. If you can figure out the trend and all that, you should probably be doing stats and analytics for a professional football team, because it's absolutely bizarre to look at the way that the teams have performed head-to-head in the matchups throughout this season. Looking down the final 4 weeks, on paper, Valley and West Shore have the hardest runs because they're the only 2 teams without a game against winless Kamloops. Let's look at it here. The Rams get the Broncos twice. Big boost to them right there. So they'll get, I think, with a very solid chance to get to 6 wins, if not 7, coming down the stretch for the Langley Rams. Watch out for them. The Huskers go on the road 3 times in their final 4 games. They play the unpredictable Rebels twice. They must play the Sun and Raiders again. It's a very tough road to get to 6 or 7 wins. They're at 4 right now. The Sun play 3 of 4 at home, with their toughest task being a trip to Nanaimo. Best they can do is 7 wins because of that tie on their record. I can easily see them hitting at least 6. West Shore has the Huskers twice, Rams and Sun. Ultimately, I think how West Shore fares against Valley is going to decide their fate and where they sit after week number 10. And don't forget, the Raiders had their way with the Rebels secondary, moving the ball through the air, and the Huskers, boy, they're pretty good at passing the ball. After week 7 in Kamloops, the Raiders face 3 tough tests in the Sun, the Rams, and the Huskers. VI will have 5 wins going to week 8. I can very soundly predict that. From there, it's anyone's guess how many more wins they get this season. This weekend, you've got Raiders at Broncos, Rams at Rebels, Huskers at Sun. All the games on Saturday. The early game starts at 4, the late game starting at 7. I think I just gave you enough reasons to make sure you're checking out BCFCTV.com. For the BCFC, I'm Dominic Abassi.